Today on Sports Central, we'll be going over a full prediction and preview on one of the biggest games of week number 3 coming up, and probably the biggest game of this season so far, which is going to be between Louisville and Miami. And of course, both of these teams are ranked going into this week. Miami is currently ranked 17th, meanwhile Louisville is number 18. And yeah, with two great offenses, two great teams going head-to-head, this one will be a fun one for sure. We're going to be going over a full preview in this video here today, along with my full prediction in the end, starting off with your team trends. And of course, last week Louisville beat off Western Kentucky 35-21, and of course that was a much closer game than many expected, including myself. I mean, I kind of thought Louisville was going to run over Western Kentucky, but then again, I mean, if you look at how good Western Kentucky was last year, I mean, they weren't really that bad at all. So I mean, if you look at that, it wasn't all that bad of a win. But of course, looking at Miami last week too, they beat off UAB 31-14, good win there as well. As far as the winning streaks for this teams, obviously both teams are 1-0, so they've got one game winning streaks right now heading into this game. Both teams are 1-0. One team is going to leave this game with a loss. This game's going to be on Saturday, September 19th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It's actually going to be your Saturday night football game. Louisville, Kentucky is where it's going to be at. Spread currently says Louisville by 2.5. ESPN FPI actually has Louisville by quite a bit, saying a 76% chance Louisville wins, which I think the FPI is definitely going a bit on the heavy side on Louisville here. I think this game is going to be much closer than what that's expecting. But Vegas is saying a 2-point win by Miami, so it's disagreeing with both the spread and the FPI there. Miami is expected to win, according to Vegas, 30-28. So, yeah, very different opinions by all three of these sources here between the spread, the FPI, and the Vegas prediction as well. So yeah, once again, I mean, looking at the spread, 2.5 for Louisville, really it makes sense. I mean, it's basically saying that it's going to be a very close game, and really it would not be surprising to see either team win. Looking at your stat comparison heading into this week, these are your 2020 Week 2 stats. Of course, Malik Cunningham last week was 19 for 34, 343 yards, along with 3 touchdowns and an interception. So, I mean, he didn't have a terrible day. I'd say 19 for 34 is, I mean, that's not great. That is not a great completion rate, but in the end, I mean, 19 for 34 is really not all that bad, along with 350 yards to boot. I mean, yeah, Malik Cunningham definitely had a good week last week, so if he's able to continue that going into week number 3, that will be huge for this Louisville team. As far as the rest of the offense goes, of course, they had Javion Hawkins, 19 attempts, 71 yards, and a touchdown. Hassan Hall also ran for 6 attempts and 66 yards. Top receiver last week was Des Fitzpatrick with 4 receptions, with 110 yards and a touchdown, and then Braden Smith had the same amount of yardage at 110 yards along with 4 receptions, but he did not have a touchdown. So all around, receiving core looked really good last week with Des Fitzpatrick and Braden Smith combining for 220 yards. So, I mean, all around, Louisville's looking pretty good on the offensive side. As far as Miami goes, of course, you got Derek King transferring from Houston. He had a bit of an underwhelming first game. He was 15 for 23, 224 total yards, and a touchdown. He actually had 140 passing yards last week, along with 80 rushing yards. So he did really good in the rushing game. But as far as the passing situation goes, he did not play very well. 15 for 23 and a touchdown. So, I mean, yeah, Derek King's definitely going to play better than he's playing right now if this Miami team is going to be able to make it to an ACC championship, which, let me just say, I definitely think he's going to be able to do so. I mean, Derek King, we've seen some great seasons out of him in the past. I mean, when he was with Houston, I mean, if you look back at 2018 especially, yeah, he had a great season in 2018, and I believe in 2017 too, he also had a great season. It just was last season that was not as good for him, and I mean, there are several complications there. But as far as the rest of the offense goes for Miami, of course, you got Cameron Harris, 17 attempts, 134 yards, and 2 touchdowns last week, so he was probably the best player on the offense last week from Miami. You also had Jalen Knighton, 9 attempts, 59 yards, as well as Donald Chaney with 8 attempts for 52 yards. So yeah, they were very high on the rushing game against UAB last week, which it ended up working out pretty well for them, still winning by a very comfortable 17 points. But as far as the receiving core goes, your top receiver was Brevin Jordan, 3 receptions for 51 yards and a touchdown last week against UAB. So that's what your stat comparison looks like. As far as the quarterback situation goes, I definitely think I'd be more comfortable if I were Louisville right now. Malik Cunningham's definitely got a lot more experience with Louisville, and obviously he's put up some great seasons for this team. He's also a very underrated quarterback in my opinion. I mean, if you look at the stats that he's put up over the past couple of seasons especially, yeah, Malik Cunningham is definitely going to be a great player this season for the ACC in both Louisville and this offense in general. As far as your key points go, of course, both teams are coming off of wins, which is going to be big coming into this game. So basically, I mean, that raises the stakes that much higher because, yeah, the team that loses this one, it's going to be very impactful. looking forward to the future. Louisville definitely has more upside, I would say. I mean, Miami, they're a great team as well. But Louisville, in the end, I'd say probably has the advantage as far as upside goes. I mean, Malik Cunningham, once again, with his experience at Louisville, that's going to be very helpful to this team. Meanwhile, for Miami, you got Derek King, which he's a great quarterback. We've seen that a ton in the past. The thing is about Derek King, though, that does concern me a bit, is that he is very new to this team. He's very new to this offense, and so it may take a couple of games, and that's why I'm saying, Miami, it's going to be tougher for them to win this game, mainly because of that. But, it could take a couple of weeks, who knows. But I definitely think Derek King is going to be bound for a great season. The good thing is, though, for Miami, I know that they didn't really, they did end up winning their last game 31-14, but the good thing is for this Miami team now is that Derek King does have some experience. So who knows, maybe this week will be the week that it really clicks for him in Miami and he has a really good game. Who knows? Once again, all that stuff is very tough to predict, but all around, I'd say both teams are basically equal as far as skill goes. If you look around on the defensive side, Miami's definitely got the better defense here. So, yeah, Miami's got the advantage on the defense, and it looks like Louisville has the advantage on the offense. But once again, you could go back and forth on that all day. So, but anyway, with that being said, let's get into my prediction for this one. I think it's going to be more of a moderate to a high-scoring game here on Saturday. I think we get off to a fast start, and we see Louisville end up leading it by 20-14. They'll lead it by 6 at the half, but I think it goes back and forth. I don't think Louisville leads for the entire half by any means, but I think Miami comes back and has a big second half. They're going to get the win here, 31-27, and honestly, it sounds kind of weird for me to say Miami is going to beat off Louisville, but if you hear me out here, I think Derek King, once again, looking at his potential over the past few seasons, with Houston, he's a quarterback that has got a tremendous amount of upside. And I think going into this game, this could be the game that he definitely breaks out. He didn't put up very impressive stats last week. Obviously, that's very obvious there. But if you look at how he did, especially, if you look back at 2018, obviously he didn't play much in 2019 because of injuries and all that. But, he put up 3,000 yards with Houston back in 2018. And if he's able to return to that level of playing, he's going to be a great quarterback this season, and definitely one of the best in the ACC. However, once again, just looking at this year, it all depends on how he is able to adjust to the system at Miami, which, it shouldn't be all that tough, but I think definitely for Miami this upcoming season, having Derek King at quarterback is going to be huge. Yeah, watch out for him for sure in this game. That's definitely going to be fun to watch for me, especially, is seeing how Derek King does. But then again, watch out for Malik Cunningham too. He's not a quarterback to sleep on. I definitely think he's one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the ACC and in college football in general. Once again, if you look at his previous playing time, he's put up some great yardage and some great stats as well. So, but yeah, this should definitely be a fun matchup. It's definitely going to be the biggest win of week number 3 for me. And yeah, once again, really looking forward to this one. My prediction, 31-27. Miami's going to get the win over Louisville in the end in a very close game. Also a very good one too. But anyway, with that being said, that wraps up my preview on Louisville and Miami. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this game. Let me know your score predictions as well as who you think is going to win. Yeah, and then again, thanks again for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central, and I'll catch you in the next one.